I get it.
Mbijan raganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyinji.
Okay. Korsa. Nsila ID soto.
Ah, sa soto. Sorry. I get it.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara Allah service o tariya. Mbare ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong labe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol dir fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moy o diat ha.
Apelenta
baraka ni lafta nyelen kendol e binaji.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel ciosano lo.
Abaraka.
Gamcell data, now even better. Enjoy 20% extra data on all Gamcell data bundles. Buy 20 megabytes and get extra 4 megabytes. Buy 50 megabytes and get extra 10 megabytes. Buy 100 megabytes and get extra 20 megabytes. Any amount of Gamcell data bundle you buy, you will receive 20% extra data for free. Dial *302 data amount hash or go to your Yaiborom menu and choose your data bundle now. Gamcell data is fast, lasts longer and very reliable. Gamcell Yaiborom.
Alright.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo?
What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
To the Brunch on Kerr Fatou Live. I'm Lamin Cham and this is your weekly current affairs show that comes your way at this time every Saturday. This week we will discuss, of course, as usual, the major stories of the week. We will begin, of course, with the formation of the Never Again Network, which was launched at the Action Aid Canifing office last week. And we will be discussing, of course, what the network is all about. But most recently, the network is concerned about how they said some people wrongly misinterpreted their mission. With me in the studio to do that is the national coordinator of the network, Dr. Galleh Jallow. He was, until recently, much known as the executive secretary of the TRRC. He is with me in the studio. Later, we will discuss about the hacking of the central bank. How was it, or how was the bank, the apex banks of the Gambia hacked? And also, we will discuss the national budget that has been presented for the coming fiscal year 2023. We've been told it's going to be above $30 billion. We will have analysts who will go of course, in the wake of the formation of the TRRC and all what that happened there. I mean, the whole transitional justice can be summed up, as everybody agreed, on one mantra, that is, nobody should allow what happened in the last 20 years, 22 years to happen again in this country. I take it that is what inspired your network.
Yes, absolutely, Cham. Thank you very much. The Never Again Network was inspired by a desire to continue the work that we started at the TRRC. It was formed back in 2021 while the commission was still in operation. Yes, that was when it was formed. It was registered in August 2021. And I and a few other colleagues at the commission decided that we are going to continue the Never Again campaign that we initiated. We initiated the Never Again campaign through our outreach activities at the TRRC. We carried out the Never Again campaign across the country. But we knew that Never Again cannot be achieved within the lifespan of the commission. So we decided that after the commission ends, we are going to continue this work. So we created the Never Again Network as a vehicle for continuing that work on Never Again. So basically, one will attempt to ask, what are you going to do exactly? Because, whereas the TRRC had brought people to talk about it, we all know what had happened now. Right. If you want to really practically work against that happening again, you don't have an armed forces, you don't have a police force, you don't have... What will be your approach? Sensitization? What we do have is knowledge. The Never Again Network can be, seen as some kind of an educational institution. We go out there, we engage the young people. Our focus is mainly on the young people in this country. And talk to them about their history, talk to them about the history of Africa, but also the history of this country and the recent history of dictatorship, and look at the factors that made that possible. How was it possible that a government could come in the Gambia and do everything that it has done? And then, some kind of educative dialogues is what we are going to have across the board with young people. That said, the whole idea behind it is to deny or to make sure that the basic rationale for the TRRC and the entire transitional justice process is achieved in the long term, and that is to prevent a recurrence. But in addition to that, we are also looking at how best to change the attitudes of Gambians, how best to create a peaceful, harmonious Gambia that is, one big family that will live together in peace, that will stop insulting each other or demeaning each other. Essentially, we want a better society. So, whereas we are going to focus on the non-repetition of human rights violations, we are also going to focus very much on building social cohesion, building unity, making sure that people understand that we are all human beings. That kind of ethical culture would be part of our work. And you had a lunch last Sunday. How big is the organization? I mean, I'm told it's members or from some staff of the TRRC. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you intend, for example, to set up a national headquarters spread across the country?
Absolutely. Everything is possible. For now, we have a core staff, a core group of membership, maybe not more than 12 people right now. And they are all, with two exceptions. We just recruited one victim to be part of the network as a victim outreach coordinator, and we have one other person who was not a staff of the TRRC, but everyone else, about 10 of us, are all former staff of the TRRC. And so in the final analysis, eventually we're going to create a network. That is why it's called a network. You know, create a network of individuals, of institutions, of groups, youth clubs, CAFOs, you know, you name it. Everyone who is interested in non-repetition of dictatorship and human rights violations will be invited to be part of this network. So at the end of the day, you know, you will have a mass of human beings and associations and organizations across the country that can speak with one voice and say, no, you can't arrest somebody like that, you can't kill, you can't violate our human rights like that. But it goes with a lot of sensitization, a lot of education on the nature of a lot of things, especially the relationship between the nation and the state, or government and the people.
Yeah, because I'm coming there because much of what happened on the Jammeh, I mean, a lot of the human rights violations were committed by the state or people acting in the name of the state.
Right.
So I take it that in the course of your work, you definitely will have a lot of occasions. Occasions may arise when you have to confront or take on the agencies of state agencies to either talk them down or condemn them if they really are found to be, you know, acting excessively or outside the law.
Well, absolutely. We have our freedom of expression within the bounds of the law, and if something happens that we feel should not happen, we will definitely hear us.
You speak out.
We will say, this is not right, you should not do that. I think that is within the mandate of the Never Again Network and the responsibility of every citizen to hold your state accountable, to tell the government that, look, you are a government, you have authority, but you derive your authority from the people. Therefore, you should not turn around and oppress the people. If the occasion arises, definitely we'll say something.
Oh, okay. Now, a lot of people, especially people working in the human rights and other activities, really welcome you because they see your organization as complementing exactly that is the mood of the nation. But then, you know, as we have learned in your recent communication, there are people who completely misinterpreted your mission. Said you are politicians in disguise, or you are some insulted you and stuff like that. Just tell me exactly what sort of criticisms, or as you would call it, insults have you started getting?
Well, exactly what we said in the press release. You know, people have called me personally a criminal. You know, criminal, that we are a mafia, that we are out to burn the country down, that we are out to bring down the government. Exactly the type of rhetoric that we used to hear from the state and state enablers during the dictatorship. So it hasn't gone away. You know, you have people calling me, I'm not a criminal, I've never committed any crime.
Absolutely.
You know, so I'm not a mafia, I'm not out to burn any government, I'm not out to bring down any government. What I am out to do, me and my colleagues, is to uplift the Gambian nation. And when we say uplift the Gambian nation, it includes both the government and the people. The Gambia is what we want to improve. The Gambia is what we want to become, a peaceful, harmonious, loving country. We want Gambians to live a life of dignity and decency, where you can't insult somebody just because you belong to different ethnic groups or different religions or different political parties. So those are the kinds of things they said. They also accused us of, trying to form a political party. And as you saw in our response, that is not a crime.
Yeah, that in itself is not a crime.
We have a right to form a political party.
Yeah, but then you do so by categorically stating that this is the national whatever party. And,
exactly.
not a network of...
Exactly. I mean, what we have set out to do now is to create the Never Again Network, to continue the work that the TRRC started. If at some point we feel that we want to create a party, what should stop us? We have something to offer.
But don't you think sometime when you were, I think that was around the time you were about to leave the TRRC or about to complete your mission, you hinted that you had sometime contemplated about going into politics.
Yes, I did, and I still contemplate going to politics.
So maybe some people would say that these critics have a valid argument. They probably think you're still ambitious and you don't want to come out. You want to use some network or in disguise as a politician.
What's to prevent me from coming out?
Yes.
What I want to do now is not political. Okay. What I want to do now, as of now, is to help bring people together to continue the work that was started by the TRRC to carry on the Never Again campaign. If at some point in time I want to join politics, I can resign from the Never Again network and start my own political party.
You don't need to hide anyway. You have to come.
No, why should I hide? I'm not a criminal. I'm not committing any crime, and I have something to offer. I have something to offer this country. I can say that loud and clear.
Absolutely.
We've had 3 presidents so far. You know, at least I can offer as much as they can offer this country. So I have no need to hide behind networks and civil society organizations. You know, if I wanted to come out and be a politician, I will come out and be a politician. That's my birthright. I'm a Gambian.
Yeah.
So, but for now, we have come together before the TRRC ended, like I said, back in 2021, and thought that we can continue the Never Again campaign. You know, in this country, we can continue educating people about their history. And human rights violations, how they happened, why they happened, how can we prevent a recurrence. That is the basis, the rationale for the transitional justice process. That's what we are doing for now.
Okay, you know, it's from the TRRC, you know, there have always been people who either deliberately refuse to recognize the TRRC as credible institution, which you know, which really brought out all what had happened, because they had been too much identified with the system that perpetrated those things. They never accepted TRRC itself. Those people will still continue to regard your network as just a continuation of the TRRC. Hence this derogatory remarks against you. How prepared are you to fight such things? Because they will always be there.
We are not
when they don't have the TRRC now. Perhaps they are worried that, okay, they might have some relief that TRRC is over, but then with the emergence of this thing, they might fear that you are continuing another TRRC, so to speak.
But of course, they fear that, then their fear is irrational, and you know, they can think whatever they want. We are not the TRRC, we are not employees of the TRRC. If they are concerned about that, they should be concerned about the government implementing the recommendations, because we cannot implement the recommendations. The TRRC job is done. We have submitted the recommendations to the government, and the government has undertaken to implement the recommendations. But you know, that should not prevent us from coming out and educating the people, because the problems that led to the dictatorship are still there. They are still there, and they need to be addressed. If we don't address them, they are going to lead to another dictatorship. You know, if we don't address these issues, the issues are going to recur. If you have a problem and you don't solve it, the problem gets worse. You know, so if people are concerned about that, I'm sorry, we can't help them. But we are not going to fight anyone. Even if you insult us, we'll pray for you. That is the type of Gambia we are trying to live, the type of Gambia that we want to see. You insult me, God bless you. You curse me, God bless you. Dishonor me, may God honor you. That is we have principles, we have guiding principles within the Never Again network, and they are based on these principles. You know, you can't insult somebody. If somebody insults you, you can't say, you can't pay back. You have to just pray for them, bless them. That's the kind of Gambia we want.
And talking about the TRRC, let's talk about what it has achieved. Not long ago, I don't know whether you follow the media, some people, including the Justice Minister of South Sudan, came to the Gambia to understudy the TRRC, definitely lending credence to what already people have said, that the Gambian TRRC, actually, Truth Commission was exemplary in everything. Did you hear about that?
We met.
You met them?
Yes.
Okay.
The UNDP invited myself and a number of other staff to meet with that
South Sudanese Justice Minister
at UN House.
Okay.
Yeah, so we met them. We had about an hour's meeting with them, and you know, they are here to learn about the experiences of the TRRC, and we had an opportunity to tell them what we did and how we did it. You know, within a short space of time, and they were very impressed, and they want to learn more about what we did. So the TRRC was a success. I remember before, when I was the only staff of the commission,
yes, I remember.
Interviewed me here.
I interviewed you here.
Yes, about people raising concerns that it's going to be a failure. And what did I say? Failure is not an option. We said failure is not an option. Then we took the steps to ensure that failure is not an option.
Absolutely.
And you know, essentially, that's the same thinking that we have about the network too.
Good. Let's talk about TRRC a little bit. Oh, of course, the product, that is the recommendations made to, personally, as Dr. Galleh Jallow, how impressed are you with the implementation stage, if there is any, in your impression about the recommendations?
Well, I think from what I see, implementing Truth Commission recommendations takes a lot of time.
Yeah, the government argued that it takes ages in some cases.
Well, sometimes it's not even implemented at all.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I think in the Gambian situation that we have even gone a little bit more further than a lot of countries. Already, you could see movement. You could see movement efforts by the government, by the Ministry of Justice to set up the special tribunal.
Yes.
They've gone out there. They've
gone to ECOWAS
they've spoken in the media. So those are signs that something has to happen. You see, we are in a situation where, as far as the TRRC's work is concerned, the Gambia government cannot just sit back and say we will do nothing.
Yes, it will be difficult.
There is both national pressure and there is international pressure.
Yes.
And of course, I think they also have the will to do something.
Yeah.
So I'm not entirely disappointed. I'm not entirely discouraged. I think we are seeing some movement, and it might be slow, but eventually some of the key recommendations will be implemented.
Are you not concerned, as most of your victims, or people who came to the commission as victims, and they have an organization, they are concerned that elements of the people, who were allegedly, very much involved with the perpetrators, are still very much highly placed in the present dispensation. They're worried that with those people there, it's not a good signal that much would be expected.
Well, certainly I'm concerned, and I don't want to see people who were former enablers of the dictatorship in certain positions today that I see them in. That is right. Some people have no right to be where they are. If we go by the transitional justice process, the never again thing. I mean, you don't remove a bad system and then take elements of those systems and put them in key positions where they could continue, controlling the narrative of the country. That is definitely of concern to me. But whatever the case may be, the Gambia government is not at liberty not to act on the recommendations of the TRRC. I think they want to do it, but there is also a lot of national pressure. Never again is fully, implemented in the national psyche now, and internationally. The international partners of this country are insisting that the recommendations be implemented.
So the government has no choice now.
Yeah, in spite of those key figures you're talking about, I think there will have to be some movement. They have to make some kind of movement towards implementation. And it's not all the recommendations that are about prosecutions. You have other recommendations that could.
That's what I'm talking. I'm going to talk about reparations. Your commission started giving out reparations based on a guideline that the victims felt is too small. The government came in to say, okay, we will come in with an instituted commission by an act of parliament. Then we will take over and we will review, because there have been precedences have been set. For example, the Faraba incident and some other things, I think, where there were compensations. Those precedences have meant that they cannot afford to do below that. And the victims are up in arms. Some even, very few of them, I think, even rejected the reparations that came from your. I take it that those reparation guidelines were inspired by the fact that you didn't have much money of your own. You had only 50 million. Part of which was already spent on treating victims who needed urgent attention.
Medical attention.
So what do you make of the victims feeling that the reparation guidelines were just too small?
Well, they have a right to feel that way. The money was small. There is no denying that.
Yeah.
But then I need to say that the TRRC is the first commission in history that was granting interim reparations,
even as the
process was unfolding.
Yeah.
We were lucky to have this provision in the TRRC Act, and fortunately the government gave us some money that allowed us to send some victims to Turkey for medical treatment, send some victims to Dakar, Senegal for medical treatment, pay the school fees of some victims, help with the medical bills of people, did a lot of things.
Absolutely.
With that little money we have.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we had some money left, some amount left. I think it was about 35 million. And that 35 million is what was kind of divided
among 1,000 victims.
Yeah, among about 1,000 victims. So you couldn't have a lot of money. At the same time, all the accounting, the numbers are listed in the report, and the amounts that are due to every single victim are also listed, and the government has been told to make sure that they pay these reparations.
Yeah.
So if they thought the monies were small, I think they were right.
Yeah.
But then that was what we could do
at that level, at that time, under the circumstances.
So
you were promised another 50 million. I remember when they were giving you that 50 million, they promised one will come, and then later the government said they had 300 million from the sales of the proceeds of the sales of the Jammeh assets that they believe would also be used, according to the former Attorney General, that Jammeh should be responsible. His money should go to, to reparate the victims. What have come of that?
Well, we never saw any additional money apart from the 50 million we got. We kept following the Ministry of Justice for, to give us the additional 50 million. To the very end, we did not receive anything else. The only monies we received were the 50 million that they gave us, and that we used to supplement our internal interim reparations budget and help the victims. That was all the money we ever got from them.
Wow. So, right. Let's wrap up by going back to this network again. The Never Again network. How was the reception international outside the country?
Well, we haven't had any international reactions yet to the network. And nationally, it was well received. We received a lot of goodwill messages on social media. And of course, judging by the fact that some of the key institutions dealing with transitional justice and human rights were at the launching, like the National Human Rights Commission chair was there, ANECED was represented, WAVE was represented, the ICTJ was represented, the Westminster Foundation for Democracy was represented, the media, journalists and young, So we think nationally that people welcome this initiative, as we should. Because the initiative is not out for anything but for the good of this country. That's what we want. We want this country to evolve, to prosper, to become a peaceful, harmonious country where we all live together as brothers and sisters, cousins, mothers and fathers, where we don't insult each other because of our differences, where we can carry this nation forward in a peaceful manner. That's all we want. We just want a peaceful, harmonious, prosperous Gambia. That's what we want. And I think that the national response has been very good. Internationally, we haven't really had any reactions to the network yet.
And finally, personally, well, when you left the TRRC, many were wondering, okay, where else can we have Dr. Baba Galleh Jallow after doing a fantastic job in there? You were quiet for a while. Until recently, we heard you might be going to Harvard University in America, maybe next summer or so. Tell us about it.
Well, yes. On 7th October, I received an email from Harvard Law School, and it was an invitation to go and serve as the inaugural Roger Fisher Fellowship in conflict, in conflict resolution and negotiation. In negotiation and conflict resolution, it was a big surprise, from nowhere. It just landed on my desk that, look, we want you to come over to Harvard Law School and spend a year with us and be the inaugural fellow. They're just starting this fellowship.
They're starting it here.
Yes, and so I would be the inaugural fellow, and I would be there, God willing, next summer and spend a year at Harvard Law School and work with them and see how that goes. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Doctor and Professor Baba Galleh Jallow, the National Coordinator for the Never Again Network, of course the former Executive Secretary, the man who drew the map and the structures of the TRRC and work to see it through. It's been our pleasure having you in the studio.
Thank you,
and all the best. The Brunch will be back with the hacking or non-hacking of the central bank and other issues when we come back.
Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyinji.
Okay. What's Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Mbale.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birin koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong labe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono anin Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kono kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol din fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ma fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e binaji.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Gamcell data, now even better. Enjoy 20% extra data on all Gamcell data bundles. Buy 20 megabytes and get extra 4 megabytes. Buy 50 megabytes and get extra 10 megabytes. Buy 100 megabytes and get extra 20 megabytes. Any amount of Gamcell data bundle you buy, you will receive 20% extra data for free. Dial *302* data amount hash or go to your Yaiborom menu and choose your data bundle now. Gamcell data is fast, lasts longer and very reliable. Gamcell Yaiborom.
Alright.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo.
Welcome back to the brunch on Fatou Live. I'm Cham, and we thank there once again Dr. Galleh Jallow of the Never Again Network. Now, we will talk now about another major story this week. There has been reports of the hacking of the country's apex bank, the Central Bank of the Gambia. According to reports, the bank was hacked, system that is, by some unknown group who are allegedly asking for a ransom of $2.5 million. They claim they have in their possession 2 megabytes or terabytes of information. But the Gambia government came out to say that actually it's only one server that has been affected and nothing at all substantially have been taken by the hackers. Now, to give us an idea of what actually hacking is all about, I have in the studio Lamarana Jallow. He is a computer science lecturer at the University of the Gambia. Lamarana, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And Demba Jawo, veteran journalist, is with us. And plus, we expect to have other panelists to discuss about what could have been the implications of that and other stories that have made the news this week. But our specialist in the studio, when news came that some institution, in our case, in this case, the Central Bank has been hacked, what is meant by hacking? I know, of course, banks, institutions, even ministry or other departments or even groups of people can have their database hacked by for one reason or the other. So what is meant by hacking? What does it tell?
Actually, maybe perhaps we might want to go back to at least a couple of years back.
Exactly.
You know, right now, when we talk about hacking, the first thing that comes to mind is fire.
Yes, that's right.
But these things have been happening centuries ago, even before like technology.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Can we explain that?
I mean,
like
what is people trying to access when they, for example, have access to your systems? It's information or data.
Data.
Let's say perhaps you were an industry many years ago, when there was no like computer. Of course, you had some records somewhere, and maybe let's say another person was perhaps hired to find a way to steal that information. But now technology just catapulted the whole.
So in other words,
industry.
What we used to call then, how do you call it, Jawo? Spies.
Well, yes.
Yes, spies. It's more or less the same. It's just that now it has become sophisticated.
Yes, a little bit more like catapulted, more sophisticated. In fact, you can say in some way it is much more resilient, and at the same time you can as well say it's also much more effective at the same time, because technology just made things a lot more easier. For people who want to engage in criminal and then dubious activities. Also makes things a lot more difficult for people, or try to make it difficult for people who want to engage in criminal activities to access information like that.
Okay, so with the advent of computers, cyber, whatever you call it, there arise, like you said, problems of people stealing into a system where you keep your data and trying to steal it. What motivates normally people from doing that? They do that, and how do you think they do that? Not that I know, I'm suggesting you know how to hack, but how do they do it?
I can tell you what is the theory behind it all. Okay, but at the end of the day, today we say that when someone wants to access another maybe building or maybe another resource, it's actually resource that they're trying to get in this case, which is data. And then today we know that data is like the new oil. Everybody is talking about it. Back in the days, people were stealing gold and diamond, and things like that. I mean, you have access to a building, you want to steal the resources that they have there. Today, it's data that is needed because people want to have access to information. It's always through the data that you can have access to information. So we've been keeping records, many years. I mean, today it's impossible to do any business without keeping records. Even if you own a small shop in a corner, you have, a book where you keep the transactions.
I see.
The computer make it easier and much more efficient. So if I wanted to steal that book, I would find ways of maybe trying to find out when you don't go to work.
Or steal the book.
Find your key, duplicate it.
Exactly.
This is the, how we do it locally, manually. So now it's basically the same process that has been, digitized.
I see.
If I want to hack any person, first I have to do my own research. I'm pretty sure those guys that had access to central bank, they've been there for a while.
They've been on it.
Oh yeah.
And they could have done it outside.
They've been in the network for a while.
I see, before they could come out.
Most likely they'll access it from outside, or some of them,
some internal.
It's not as easy as people sometimes say it is. Because of course you expect people at the central bank to be professionals, to protect the information, just like how you have keys and then padlocks at your door. The hackers cannot just come in and have access to the information. They have to go through some technical things. It's not that easy. Firewalls, some other softwares that they have to go through. In fact, the databases, all of these things have security protocols and policies in place. So usually, before anybody can have access from outside, there is internal issues that happens, right? Let's say, for example, one of the staff was...
Do you think, in your experience, I'm not suggesting that you...
Sorry, can I just complete that?
Yes,
sorry,
complete.
One minute. It's not just someone can come from the outside easily and have access to your information. Most of the time, what happens is there's a person in the institution itself that was a bit negligent, that allowed them, that gave them some type of a way to have access to your institution and then to be part of the network, to be observing things that is happening around. So that's exactly what happened. Normally, it's not just easy, I have a key, I can just go in. No, they have to study the environment, do what we call social engineering.
There are allegations that the central bank system had not been updated for a while. I know with the dynamism of technology and all this, probably the hackers or the criminals have got more sophisticated stuff to deal with. Something like the central bank system, which had not been.
They must have stayed there for some time. They must have got access long before they came out.
Yes, this is usually what happens. So you find your way, you find a door, you find access through maybe one staff who is there, who is a bit negligent about, about the policies of using IT services
But
within that institution.
If it is not updated like it's suggested, couldn't that will make them more vulnerable to?
When it comes to security,
yes,
it's an ongoing process.
Yes.
You know, update happens gradually, every day almost, maintenance, because every time we learn about new viruses, and then we want an antivirus that try to stop that virus from being...
But negligent staff could be one thing, but don't you think also connivance could be part of it as well?
Connive, can you please explain?
Well, what I mean connivance, somebody within the system who is helping the outsiders to do what they are doing.
There would always be most of the time, negligence comes from an individual.
Negligence is one thing, but connivance, knowing that these people are doing this thing, and I want to be part of it because I will benefit financially or otherwise. It's possible.
It's always difficult.
Okay.
We just want to have an open conversation here. Right? It's always difficult to know someone who is in-house and is ready to cause damage.
Yes.
Because if they're already part of the system, they can open any door.
Trusted, yes.
Like if they have part of the system, they can open the door from the inside and allow somebody from the outside to have access. Then which means your building is no more secure. Of course, I mean, if there is, it also depends on what is the purpose of those guys trying to hack. Yeah. If it's financial gain, somebody from the inside would benefit from it as well. So it's always business related.
So when they said, when the government said, okay, we have not heard from the central bank, I mean, they have been very quiet about it. Well, the government is speaking now for them, so to speak. Only one server has been affected. Technically, does that mean now it's only some component of the whole thing that has been affected and not entirely? How can you translate that?
Institutions have, when we say a server, it's like, in layman's term, I can say it's like a computer that has information that other people want to access. Okay, it could be maybe they have a server that keeps, just for example, HR records, another server that keeps the accounting records, another server that keeps all the information, which is all part of the network.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
It's possible that if the person had access to the network, it's like you open door, you stay within, try and open doors. If there is something there, if there's nothing there, you close, you try another door until you have access to a place where all the information that you wanted is there.
I see.
So it's very much possible that they have access to one server because of they have tried to go around the security of that server, but there were other servers that had other security policies in place which they were not able to, to damage or maybe to go around. So it's really much true that they can have access to one server and not all. But I mean, I'm pretty sure if they had spent more time on the network learning and then observing how transactions happen, at some point.
There were some documents supposedly, one looked like an attendant list of directors and senior staff of the bank, whereas another one looked like a correspondence between certain these things. They could probably, Jawo think they could have more than they released, perhaps. Especially if they are bluffing that they have more and they wanted money.
Now, of course, it's very, very likely that the government is not telling us the whole story.
Yeah, because
very, very likely.
Look at the deadline, the timeline.
Yeah.
The Kakas were saying that they did it on the 8th November or something like that. And the government came on the end.
If you look at what Malagan wrote actually, and you compare what the government wrote, I mean, there's a discrepancy with what the government is saying. Even the dates, I mean, they are talking about is different from what Malagan has given us. So I tend to believe that the government is not telling us the full story. Definitely, there is something much more than they are willing to disclose to us.
And don't you think the central bank, being such a sensitive, very important institution, as you can even read from the statement of the government, I mean, the government is always very concerned about international community, diplomats, and other, outside stakeholders whenever central bank is, concerned, because of course its significance. But don't you think things are now getting too much? Last time it was somebody supposedly walking with $155 million of battered notes, and now hacking, stuff like that. Don't you think there's really concern, really a case for concern now for people to worry about the central bank?
Well, of course, it's possible that, some of what we are hearing could be part of just conspiracy theory, with social media, anything goes. But, the very fact that all these scandals are going around within the central bank, really, honestly, I think it should be a cause for concern for everyone, because the central bank is a very important hub of governance in this country.
What do you make of the government's approach? Wait until everything is on the social media or in the local media before coming out with some past statement, trying to play down whatever is.
That's the unfortunate part of this government, because it always reacts, rather than being proactive to situations. That is the unfortunate part. I think they need to work on their information system. Something is definitely not quite okay. I mean, they always react to what happens rather than being proactive, trying to prevent certain things happening. So I think they need to work on their information policy and the communication policy as well. Something is definitely not at ease.
What do we learn from this as an expert, because we have the banks, the commercial banks, the other financial institutions, etc. What do you think should be the lesson from this? If the central bank can be a target,
yes,
that means some people somewhere are targeting Gambian important institutions, financial institutions. What should be the lesson for the commercial banks and others? People in charge of data generally in the Gambia, don't you think they have a cause for concern?
Yes. It's impossible today to work without data. And then we say that data is the next gold or the next oil, right?
Yes.
So it's practically impossible to say that, we want to go away, like what people will say. We cannot allow people to collect our data and things like that. It's practically impossible today. And then we know for the fact that we need this information. So what can we do? Of course, for example, every institution that you go to in the Gambia today is collecting data. They need this data to provide effective and efficient services for whoever those businesses are being run for. It's impossible to say that you cannot collect data at all. Okay, so perhaps the government can come up with our own what we call, like it is in EU, they have the data collection policy and then the rules and laws. It's in the US, in other countries. Perhaps it's time that the Gambia, is also serious about it. Come up with our own data policies and also IT policies for every institution.
Well, now that we have a new minister or a new ministry,
they are working actually really, really hard towards that. But unfortunately for us, our systems and our processes are a little bit archaic. It's very difficult to bring 21st century technology and then to say that one day everything is going to be fine. It's taking us time to adapt.
What are the problems? Resources or know-how?
There is very good know-how. You'll be surprised.
Very good know-how.
Yes, because most of the staff in these institutions were our friends. We did our graduate school together in countries outside of this place. So obviously they do have the know-how. And then also implementing some of those policies locally, it's very difficult to find that line.
Even legislation is not there? Or?
Legislation have to also come in place, but it's also a problem. If let's be honest, most of our National Assembly members are not aware of some of the developments that are happening around the world.
The other thing is probably, there is this lackadaisical attitude towards data protection. It's a problem in this country, and because there are so many institutions which are gathering people's data, and there is no protection whatsoever. You have SEMLEX there, when you go for an ID card or whatever, they take all your data. You go to the security port at the airport, they take data, and all the institutions take data. But there is no, centralized data protection agency in this country, so nobody knows what these people are doing with the data. I think the government definitely needs to work on that very seriously. So as you said, probably with the emergence of the new ministry for digital economy, and communication, probably they will address that. But honestly, something needs to be done about the data, that everybody is collecting our data and nobody knows who is doing what with it. Yeah.
Not just the ministry. I think this has to come from the government all the way. It needs to be part of the security. We're talking about security sector reforms. Today, you cannot be secured, completely secured without technology. In fact,
I like that. So security reform shouldn't just be about people in uniform.
Yes. Today, come on, we all know the next warfare is technology.
Technology.
It's not Of course, it will be boot on the ground.
Yeah, but
most of the wars will be won.
Like the one happening in Russia.
It's already happening. It's not the next war.
It's already there. Have to be very serious about this.
Ukrainians are still very much resisting Russia because of the superior technology.
This policy have to come. Maybe perhaps Ministry of Interior can start to work on some of the things like this, because we need to protect people's data, and then we are all resources in some way, and then at the end of the day, everything about us is information. You as an individual is everything that you have. At the end of the day, in your memory, it's also about you. If everything can be put in a system, you are the resource.
Absolutely. Yes. So like I was saying, technically, you think, should we be worried? I mean, the banks or institutions, now that the hackers are targeting Gambia, especially the central bank.
Worried? Not really. I think I can be very much confident enough to say that. Because like I said, these people who are trying to hack, you also have a lot of people who are in-house trying to defend it. So at the end of the day, it's not going to be as easy as somebody just come from anywhere and then try to hack. Of course, it must be because they have at least a higher level of know-how. If at all, we also have the same institution around us. Like, this is exactly what other countries are doing. You go to Korea, the US, they have cyber security divisions funded, in fact, in the US themselves, the militaries are getting most of the funds. And chunk of that money is going to cyber security today.
Yeah, because if one could say, or even maybe the Gambia government or the central bank could say, well, nobody's immune. Even the United States electoral system was hacked. So who are we?
That's right. That's quite true. I agree. I mean, that probably we don't need to worry much about hacking, because the thing is, hacking is not cheap itself. I mean, you need to spend a lot of resources in hacking somebody's place, and probably the Gambia is not such a target, because there is not much to gain from hacking the central bank or any other institution in this country from outsiders.
We don't have anything substantial.
Well, that's right. There is not much information, or it doesn't. I mean, maybe it would not be worth. I mean, hacking the central bank or any other institution in this country more than it would be probably. I mean, hacking the U.S. military. I mean, cyber, whatever, and other institutions as well. Probably there is more to gain in trying to hack those people than trying to hack anything in the Gambia.
And the same technicians that we have here, of course, we read the same international policies, organizations, like how they're able to secure the systems. It's the same ways we also, it's the same things we apply as well. Okay, so at the end of the day, we are always working with international standards in terms of encryption, how to build your systems in a way that at least, if, for example, what happens in most cases, it's ransomware. Like today, you can buy ransomware software on the internet very easily, not even expensive, in the what we call the black market or the dark web. We also have our own black market.
What does ransomware mean?
Like, for example, I lock your computer and I ask you for money before I give you the key to open it. That's what happens.
Could that really sounds similar to what these supposed hackers of the central bank are demanding?
That's what happens. So, I mean, in a system like that, so what we encourage people, when you are building your infrastructure, if there is enough backup, you cannot just rely on only one system.
So when
of
they
course, if it is hacked,
they close so normally they take the whole thing. Now you yourself cannot access it.
That's what happens. They just encrypt the whole computer, and you cannot access that machine. So all the data would be encrypted until they give you the key to open it, and you can have access.
So what you're suggesting is these hackers themselves were present. Couldn't they do this remotely?
Why not?
What do you mean by remote?
What I mean is that
if they're outside the country,
have access,
how do they get access? Could it be you suggested there could be an insider? But could it be done remotely entirely from somewhere? In the globe somewhere.
I agree that it could be done remote. I mean, that is, you are getting into the system. You can be anywhere in the world and trying to get into the system. It doesn't necessarily need to be present. I mean, if the system is not very secure, you can access the system from anywhere in the world. That's what I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, it's technology.
So normally when they hack and get through, in order to ask for a ransom, they will encrypt it with another
encrypt the whole computer, and then you can't even have access to where you log in to put in your username and password. I mean, before that is what turns on the whole computer itself.
Well, it's just like kidnapping. I mean, they kidnap your computer and then ask for ransom.
If you pay a different password,
you cannot come and
exactly.
You have to pay.
It's not up to that level. I mean, the way where you input your password, it's after the computer has even turned on.
Has been turned on, yes. So they would talk, so you cannot even turn it on in the first place.
You cannot go to that level.
You cannot even turn it on in the first place.
You can turn it on. You
but
have
then you
access
wouldn't get
to
to
the
the level
screen.
where you can.
Yes.
I hope that doesn't happen to the central bank, because in that case we will. I mean,
in cases like that, like I was saying before, it's good to have a good infrastructure in place, right? You can't have a very critical system that's only one without the necessary backup. Yeah. If at all a hacker gets access to your computer and then, with ransomware, which means it's that machine they have access to. Maybe if it's part of the network, it affects the whole network itself. Okay, if you had backup somewhere with your data, you can just forget about the machine, format everything, and then recover from the backup. Most of the time, it is how we even build our infrastructures.
And I'm sure it's like central bank definitely must have a backup.
And that means if they had updated, you need to update to be able to get all those things. But if you have not updated for a while, probably your system is kind of, obsolete somehow. Absolutely. So if somebody gets hold of it, then
most of the case updates are put automatically. So
okay.
I don't understand.
Yeah. So what he said, if you update your
system,
your whatever cybersecurity software, whatever you use to secure it, if you update it, if you have an old-fashioned and things are happening, the hackers might be well ahead of you in terms of fighting.
That is exactly the truth. If at all they have access to better resources than you.
Yeah.
I mean, my house is one simple door. Yeah. A thief can come in very easily, but not have access to the State House, for example.
Yes, that's true. Now, let's talk about, because the new minister has been talking about working on how to digitalize most of the transactions that happen in the Gambia in terms of money. And for example, he's thinking about a day you walk in the supermarket, you just give them your card, debit card or credit card, you swiped, and you do your shopping.
Credit card is already old.
Then Oberos. But we don't have it.
Not in the Gambia.
We don't have it here. We
you still have.
That's what I'm saying.
Points in our pockets
and going for shopping. Huge gap. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
There's definitely a huge gap.
But do you think, from your experience, in a lecturer, you said, do you think how far are we from that? Even that thing you're talking about is outdated somewhere. We don't get to that level now.
If
I go to the Alvihag supermarket, I have to bring cash.
We have so many problems locally that a lot of us in the tech scene are trying to solve. Actually, we are blessed with problems, unfortunately, and then we are always trying to look for solutions to those problems technologically, because the resource we have at the moment cannot solve them. So we can only solve those issues when it comes by using technology in its place. Okay, we've traveled outside of this country. Some of us did our, graduate schools in very developed countries where you hardly even go with cars. You use your phones, your cards to have access to these transactions.
Yeah. Okay. But even in places like Kenya and other places, people do.
Yes.
Rwanda, they do.
It's all available there. But let's say, for example, you want to buy something online. Most of these new services that we are trying to implement, like ride-hailing or maybe buying things online, it's difficult. Because you have to, moving cash from one person to the other have to be easy. It should be like me giving you my cash right here.
Exactly.
We have built technologies that has somehow replaced the person that sits at the bank with an ATM, with the ATM machine. You can easily go outside and get your cash. Before, you had to queue at the bank many hours before you have access to the cash. Those things were many years ago.
Yes, many years ago.
Like today, what we want to do is to easily be able to buy products and services locally, and those things can only be done with technology.
Yeah, I think the Ministry of Digital Economy definitely has a lot of work to do, because even at the government level, you see, for example, go to the airport, this security port fee. You have to produce cash. I understand tourists are even having problems in paying that, because for them, from where they're coming, you just use cards or whatever, electronic means to pay. And when they come, they are told to go out and change your money to Gambian dollars or whatever, and then go and pay it. That's obsolete. That's outdated. And that's exactly what's happening even at the IEC level. You've seen, during the presidential election, last presidential election, even somebody had to come with dollars, and they said, go and change it to dollars before you can even pay. Can you imagine that? That should have been done electronically. You don't need to, definitely produce physical cash to be. We definitely have a lot of work to do.
Most of the problems that we also see around, a couple of years back, like I said, data is very important. We have to collect data. That is the only way we can provide efficient and effective services for the people. A couple of years back, when the COVID hit, I think the government spent almost about 500 million to buy food items.
800 or so.
What happened was they ended up parking those trucks at areas, because why? They don't know how many people live in that community.
Exactly.
How many households are there. If at all data was collected, that food would have been given out easily, distributed easily.
Because you would have.
So there is no way that we can.
There are no two ways about it. You have to go digital.
You must have to go digital.
Well, gentlemen, Lamarana Jallow is a lecturer of computer science at the University of the Gambia. Thank you very much for letting us through, at least have an idea as to how hacking is done and how Gambia is vulnerable still, and how much work we need to do. Now, let me ask, before I leave you, how popular is computer science studies at the university in the Gambia now? For example, in your class, how many at any given time, average students turn up?
We started in 2006. I was in the first batch, computer science batch.
Yourself, as a student yourself?
I was a student in 2006, graduated in 2010, and then right afterwards I was employed as a teaching assistant.
And university.
And I went back and did my master's. It is very, very one of the most popular.
How many students now compete to register in your course, for example?
Oh, we have full classes. Sometimes more than 100. So today, if you go to almost in any department in the Gambia, like let's say, for example, one of the biggest employers is MRC. Almost half of their staff are from UTG, the computer science department. I know almost everybody in there.
So do you want to say that MRC employs more computer experts, IT experts than any other? More than even the government, of course.
I don't want to maybe perhaps...
No, I know it's...
but they do have a huge number of people in the IT department that are from and then almost every sector I go to today, I'm very lucky. Almost anywhere you go, I have some of my students there, so it's always very easy. And then we have
what other areas?
Hungry people who wants to develop, and then see that we can be able to build technologies or solutions or things that can benefit our society here. Even though we are faced with many different challenges in terms of infrastructure that we found here, and some of the archaic ways of processes of how things used to happen in this country.
Which order is the biggest employer of your students, of graduates from your school?
I don't.
What about
except
government?
I get the data.
What about government?
Except I get the data.
Oh, I get the data.
To tell you that, right?
Yes. Yes, when you were Minister of Information and Communication, that time they were all together.
Yep.
How popular or how widespread or at what level was computer science studies at the time?
No, I may not be able to know that, because we were not dealing with training of computer science or whatever. That we left it to the Ministry of Higher Education to deal with, right? But as far as
I'm talking about computer and digital matters in the Gambia.
It was a very big deal, because the thing is, there was this ambition to actually develop good, e-governance. So that, all this what we are talking about, so that we can digitalize the whole governance system. That was the ambition. But unfortunately,
that has been said since.
Yeah, unfortunately, it had not been attained because of a number of, factors. One of them was coordination was lacking. Two, also this the the attitude of the people also, you know. I mean, you need to change people's attitude. I mean, people, rather than going about filling forms and other things, like if you want a passport, you know, all the way to Bassa, you have to come to Banjul, you get fill a form and then, you know, go. I think that should be, you know, everything could have been done online.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, probably, you know, also because the network also, as
That's
well as
another problem
the connectivity and all those things,
and
they are
know
very
how,
low.
if you have to fill
the rate
passports.
of connectivity also is low, you know, so probably all those things need to be addressed by the government if they actually want to achieve the objective of, you know, I mean, developing e-governance in this country.
Maybe with a new ministry,
with the new ministry, honestly, I think it's good that, you know, a special ministry has been created to deal with that aspect of governance. It's very important. I think it needs to be given priority.
You will know that very well, because when you were there, your attention was divided between information.
It was a difficult ministry to deal with, you know, because I mean, the telecommunication aspect is a very big area, and, you know, I mean, so to give your attention to information as well as to telecommunication was not easy at all.
Difficult.
Yeah.
Right, Demba Jawo, a veteran journalist and former Minister of Information, and Lamarana Jallow, lecturer computer science at the University of the Gambia. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on the brunch. We hope we'll get you back some more day. Until then, this has been the brunch this week. We'll be back next week. Thank you, and bye for now.
Bye.
Age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.